Swing and a drive.
Welcome to Red, White, and Blue Jays, the podcast home of Blue Jays Fans UK, a group connecting Blue Jays fans around the UK and beyond, and telling their story. And now, here's the host of Red, White, and Blue Jays, Steve Hunter.
Hi guys, welcome to Red, White and Blue Jays. It's great to be here. We are in World Series heaven right now, and I am just absolutely thrilled to be catching up again with a really good friend, Scott Carson from Sportsnet. You've met Scott before. He's back with us again, here to tell us all the joys that have happened in the Sportsnet booth over the postseason and to look forward into the World Series, which starts on Friday. Scott, great to have you. How are you, my friend? You must be on cloud nine right now.
Cloud nine is exactly where I've been since Jeff Hoffman struck out 3, which was unexpected after he had to pitch 2 innings in Game 6 and 35 pitches. And when he came in, and where the Mariners were in the order, 8, 9, and 1, I thought, you're just never completely convinced. And struck out the first 2, struck out the third. And I'll tell you what, I was at the Joe Carter game in 1993 as a fan. That was my first year, but that was back when the American networks did all the postseason. And so I was at the Joe Carter game as a fan, and it all came back to me when they won. Well, first of all, the George Springer home run. I've never heard the Rogers Center. I still call it Sky Dome. I'm old school, but I've never heard that place roar as loud. The only one louder was the Joe Carter one, obviously, because they won the World Series and everybody was going bananas. I remember. And that had the same vibe on Game 7 when George hit that home run. I didn't get excited, which shocked me. I watched the ball go out. I had Dan and Buck right beside me. They were excited. The thing that made me most excited was I looked down into the seats at the fans, and they were, to a man, except maybe the Mariners fans that were there, they were going crazy, like crazy. Every shot that Sportsnet took during that whole sequence, people were losing it, and I loved it. As a Blue Jays fan, I was shocked that I was able to keep it together, because you have to remember, I'm working the game and we have to do fonts and graphics and all that. And I didn't really get excited until after the last out, and you just kind of exhale. And then it dawns on you, what is next? What is next is the World Series. My God, 32 years later, and we're going back to the show. And, we're going against the mighty Dodgers with Ohtani and Freeman and Betts and Kershaw and all those great players, defending champions too. So that's really exciting. And now I'll get down to work on Friday for Game 1, probably about 5 hours before the game. And I'll walk in, and then it will really hit me, because up on the Jumbotron, it'll say 2025 World Series with a Dodgers logo and the Jays logo. And that's going to be cool.
That's amazing. What I love is we're friends on Facebook, and so you often post photos and bits and pieces. And is your photos at the end of Game 7 when they clinched and the guys are out on the field and they're getting the presentation and stuff? Yes, you're there professionally, you're doing a job for Sportsnet and so on, but as a fan, what was that like, for that moment, actually being there, watching the team get over the line, heading into the World Series? Just so exciting.
Oh, it like I say, the stadium was going crazy. So that it felt like you were in a fishbowl all of a sudden, because everywhere that you looked was just people going crazy. So that was loads of fun. The fan in me was like, wow, but I've been very lucky. This is my 33rd season doing the games. I've always been able to kind of keep it together. And it was the fan in me was very excited. The working man in me was like, okay, this is just one step along this journey. And, it's weird because when we were in June and they were in fourth place below 500, I never dreamed that this would have been happening. I just didn't. I just didn't get a feeling for most of the season that, okay, we have a good team, but we don't have a great team. And the whole key to that is team. This team wins from the best player down to the 26th player. Everybody has contributed this whole season across the board. And that's what has made this a real joy, is that this has been a team win. It hasn't just been Vladdy carrying the team on his back, like the classic example is George Springer's home run in game 7 there. Leadoff walk, single, first and second, ninth hitter drops a bunt, second and third. And I thought, okay, let's just get a hit. And then it's 3-3. Well, it was better than that. I mean, 1-0 pitch right down the plate, and he just absolutely smashed it. And it was really exciting. As I'm like, were you watching the game live?
Yeah. Saw the game
In the middle of the night, obviously.
Yeah,
Oh, great
absolutely.
for you. So, I mean, I'm sure all the way where you are, you must have felt the absolute excitement and just it was. I like to call it the second greatest home run in Jays history. Obviously, Joe Carter's won the World Series. George goes number 2. Yeah, there you go. George goes to number 2 because that put them into the World Series. There's been bigger home runs. I'm thinking of Robbie Alamar's in '92 off of Dennis Eckersley. That put them over the top in my mind because they've been so close. And then Jose Bautista's bat flip home run in my mind is number 4. Number 5, and not a lot of people remember this, '92 World Series, Ed Sprague's pinch hit home run in game 2 after they'd lost game 1 and looked like they were going to lose game 2. And he hit that, and that's my number 5. So I've been very blessed to witness so many great home run moments in franchise history that hey, when this is all said and done, I'm still working on my book for after I'm done with the job, because I've seen a lot of things, and it won't be a tell-all book. It'll just be a book of my experiences. I'm going to call it Third Man in the Booth, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I've built like a skeleton of the book chapters, and then I just have to put meat on the bone now, and really looking forward to that. Looking forward to this off season because I'm going to really start to work on that, because I've had a lot of people, when I've said that I'm going to write a book of my experiences at the end of all this, and they said, I would read that. I would read that. So I know that there's people that are looking forward to that book. But getting back to this, though, I mean, this is just crazy. We're in the World Series now, and it's
it is crazy, and I think we have a slight parallel in our storylines, in that my very first Blue Jays game was in 1994, which I've
nice.
probably said to you before, and I was in my young 20s, had some friends in Ontario, and lived down in Hamilton, and they knew I loved sport. They said, "Would you like to go see the Jays play?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to," and just fell in love with the team. And of course, part of the irony of my experience was that in '94, of course, it went into the strike, and I think we were literally about 4 or 5 days before the strike kicked in. So by my fingernails did I become a Blue Jays fan. And so for me, as well as parallel with your story, is I've been waiting all these years for this World Series moment, and still can't quite believe that we're actually there. And I don't know whether, you sort of mentioned all the home runs, and I was going to ask you in terms of where you thought the Springer Dinger sat in the hierarchy of important runs for the Jays, and I think I would have placed it, at the second place as well, because of the importance of going into the into the World Series. Do you feel that the Toronto fan base, because we have some quite big moments across the whole of the postseason, and obviously coming into this part of the year, was the euphoria in the ballpark on, Game 7 night bigger and better than anything that you've seen thus far through those 32 years of waiting for these moments? Because you mentioned about the Bautista bat flip, because again that was another middle of the night thing for us here. I mean, it just felt like in that Game 7 that we were, is it going to happen? And it was just such a massive moment. And I just seeing it in the background behind you. You've got, for those who are listening on the audio, Scott's got just the game highlights playing in the background, and yeah, just that moment, capturing it. What was that like?
Well, I looked at it this way, okay, because the last time that they were in the World Series was 32 years ago. So this is a whole new generation of Blue Jays fans who have only watched highlights, and they didn't actually were in the park to feel what that is like. And that's why I think so many people were just going crazy that night after the home run, and then after they clinched. It was like, because those are like, oh, that's a whole generation of Blue Jays fans, and there's a lot of Blue Jays fans. We're very lucky that our games go across the country, from the Maritimes to BC. And we got word yesterday in an email about the fact that at some point in the game there was over 6.2 million fans watching the game, and
I saw
it
that.
actually topped out during the ninth inning at like 8 million. Those are crazy numbers for TV. So I'm sure Sportsnet and their advertisers are absolutely thrilled by this, because that's a lot of eyeballs on your products. So it's
Absolutely.
been very good. But like I say, yeah, that place went crazy. And I stayed, and well, we did a extended post game there, on the field, getting the trophy in the crazy clubhouse with, like, the champagne and all that stuff. I stayed quite late that night. Normally, when my in-game job is done and they don't need any more fonts or graphics, then I just kind of slide out the door and drive home, right? But I stayed for an hour, and I would say of the 44,000 that were at that game, like 30,000 stayed just as long, because, a lot of people, this was the first for them. They've never seen this with their own eyes. And
Yeah.
so that was really cool. And by the time I left, apparently all of the fans had left the park, and they were milling all around the whole city and just singing and high-fiving everybody. So it's a real big thing,
Mm.
and I can't wait to see what the crowd's like on Friday night for Game 1, because I'm expecting that it'll be crazy.
Well, I did click on the link that came from the Jays in terms of purchasing tickets for the first game, and I was something like 245,000
Yeah,
in the queue.
yeah,
So the chances of getting tickets, I mean, some very lucky people out there who probably paid some good money to go. But what an opportunity. I was just going to just ask you about Dan and Buck, and obviously being in the booth with those guys, because one of the unfortunate things with us from an international audience point of view is that we don't get the Sportsnet feed
yeah,
through MLB TV, so we have to put up with the Fox broadcast, which isn't great.
yeah, yeah.
But it's been lovely seeing on social media and just being able to re-watch from our perspective, listening to Dan and Buck. I mean, what a privilege to be with those two gentlemen and work alongside them. I mean, what were their reactions after the game finished?
Well, Dan, like me, is a lifetime Jays fan. Like he mentioned that several times all October, that he can't believe that he's getting to call the Blue Jays going to the World Series. So he was very excited. Buck's a little more staid, because he's been around so much longer than me and Dan. And I watched him after they won the game the other day, and he was all business, and and it's great to have him back after yet another health scare, and
Mm.
he's been spectacular this whole time. You know, they're just pros, so they don't get overexcited. They're like me, able to compartmentalize our fandom. So Dan, though, I could tell that when he called the Springer home run, like he wanted to just freak. I could see it, but he's a professional, one of the best ever. So it's loads of fun, and yeah, we're just riding this wave right now because it's been so much fun. We didn't think that they would beat the Yankees the way that they did, and we were very happy with that because who doesn't want to beat the evil empire like that, eh? But the Mariners were a different deal because they're a pitch first team and they have really good pitching, and we were able to expose their weaknesses. And like I said earlier, we were able to get contributions from 1 through 9 in the batting order the whole series. Like I looked up a stat the other day, just comparing the Mariners 7, 8, and 9 hitters, the bottom of the order, to ours, and it wasn't even close. Uh, the Mariners were hitting like 130, and we were hitting like 290 or something. So that's a big reason why we won. And like I say, team effort. I mean, that's what has made this very enjoyable, is watching guys who were never stars at any point in their uh, long careers doing good things. Like Ernie Clement, he was a bench player wherever he went. Uh, IKF brought him in from Pittsburgh. He wasn't even playing there. He's contributed. That's what has made this so really good. Guy like Nathan Lucas too, who was just a extra player in Tampa, and he's come in, and he's batting second in between Springer and Vladdy. Like contributes, guys have gone over and above what anyone expected from them, and that is why they have won to this point. So we'll see you now. Bring on the Dodgers and all their
Mm.
stars, and it'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to Otani after he was supposed to be coming to us
Yeah.
right until the end, and it'll be interesting to see how they react to that. I hope they boo if you like, but don't be stupid as a fan, because it reflects on Toronto, Canada, everything. And yeah, this is going to be really cool. And can we beat them? Why not? The way that it's gone,
Why
why
not?
can't they?
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, it has been fantastic to see. And I think coming into the season, I suppose on the back of the last 2 or 3 seasons where the anticipation of the Jays doing well, they were built for a moment, and, we'd had disappointments and decisions and so on and so forth. So I think coming into this particular season, I don't know whether even my confidence level was to think that they could go this far. So is this a bit of a surprise that we have? I mean, there's been momentum through the season as it's obviously come into the postseason, but as you've sort of mentioned, some of these players, that they were just bench players. They were players that you wouldn't anticipate would perhaps come to the fore in such a big moment. Is it a surprise that we're here?
It was, yeah. If I
Okay.
really think about this with my blinders off, yes, this is a big surprise because, like I said, at no point during the season did I expect this to happen. They were, third and fourth place, below 500 for a lot of the time. And then they hit that hot streak, and everybody got into lockstep, and then they rolled and they blew right past the Yankees. We rolled back a little bit at the end, and the Yankees got really hot, and that's why they tied us. But luckily, we had the tiebreaker, and we got the first round off to get the starters in order and all that stuff. So, and then to have the Yankees roll in and we pounded them in games 1 and 2, like that was pretty sweet. And then they lost game 3, won game 5, and it was like that's when we, as a man, we started to believe what we were seeing. And since then, it's been absolutely magical. It's just been so much fun, and going to work has not been a problem. I usually show up 3 hours before the games, but I've been showing up now 5 hours before the game just to get in there and feel the atmosphere. And when the crowd comes in, then it's like, everybody's like, I've never heard a whole stadium chant "Let's go Blue Jays" like they have done the last week or so. Like I've just never heard that, and it's been exciting and it's great. Can't wait to go to work on Friday for
Yeah.
game 1, just because like I'm going to start prepping actually later on this afternoon here, and and then it'll start to feel real to me when you start to pour through the numbers for all the players and try and find trends. Like, not sure if you know this, but when you're watching a game on Sportsnet, and we have what are called bug flips, which is the score bug in the corner, and if myself and my graphics op can add to that, we do every time. And when it's in lockstep with Dan and Buck, it just makes everything look really good. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm ready to get this going now. The buzz of winning the game uh, is finally lifting, and now it's like I'm saying to
Mm.
myself, get this back together, because there's going to be so many people watching the games, and our little tidbits of information, which makes the whole broadcast look great.
Yep.
That's where I get loads of pride. And yeah, I can't wait. Like, game 1's going to be great. I never thought I would be working on a World Series broadcast, and it's finally going to happen. And wow.
Amazing. So excited for you. We're trying to organize a little gathering in London on Friday or Saturday morning for us to watch the game live together. So yeah, hoping that's going to happen. So yeah, just have a little thought for us at 1 o'clock in the morning
Yeah,
when you start at game time that we're going to be doing that. I just wanted
perfect.
to ask you. I wanted to ask you in terms of John Schneider and how he's managed through the postseason. Obviously, the disappointment, I guess, and probably a lot of flack that came his way in the game 5. Some of the decisions there.
Yeah.
How he's responded to that in terms of what's come at him from press conferences, what the fans will be saying. How do you think he's just handled the pressure, and how happy are you to see him, because he's been associated also with the Jays through many years in terms of different roles that he's had with the minor teams. How happy are you for him that he's got the team
Oh,
through to World Series?
no doubt. I mean, he's been a Blue Jays lifer all the way up through the minors. He's been with Vladdy and Bo since the beginning. So I mean, there's that. Those are his guys. And after game 5, when I couldn't believe that they lost that game. 6 outs to go. Uh, Went to Brendan Little, who'd been good for the most part of the year, and he didn't have it. And next thing you know, a 2-1 lead is a 6-2 loss. I mean, that was really tough to watch that. But something, they came back and they said, okay, we're home. Where they were the best team in MLB this year as a home team, and they won so many games, and it just felt right. And good for him to bring in Hoffman at the end of game 6 and game 7. Game 6, to have him pitch 2 full innings, 35 pitches. I thought that might put game 7 into jeopardy a little bit because the trust tree of the bullpen had been wavering a bit. You know, he was basically only using two relievers in Varland and Hoffman, and you really saw what was up in Game 7 when you went to Gosman and Chris Bassett, because that was a trust thing. He knew that they were veterans, and he put trust in them. And then when in the eighth inning, when we saw Hoffman get up after throwing 35 pitches the night before, we went, okay. And he came in and was magnificent, you know, three strikeouts. And John Schneider has managed very well this whole time, whether it's defensive replacements late in the game when they're leading, all those little things. And he's been pulling the strings very well for like a month now. And here we are. And I'm not expecting anything to change during the World Series. He knows what he's got to work with, and I would expect much of the same starting on Friday.
Yeah. There's been talk about Bo returning for the World Series.
Yep.
How do you envisage him being slotted into this team? I mean, obviously he's done tremendously well in terms of his hitting through the season, been out for a
Yep.
little while. How does John manage bringing him back in? Where would you see him being used? Could he potentially just be used for his bat?
I would think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that game one he'll be the DH, which will force them to put Springer in the outfield again, which I that weakens them defensively. Not that George is a bad outfielder, but the outfield that we've been using with Barger in right, Lucas in left has worked very well. So they're going to have to do a little shifting of the parts around to make this work. But you know, we have to have a lot of confidence in John Schneider right now and his group, because they've been pushing all the right buttons now for several weeks, and I would expect now. What do I expect from Bo? I'm really not sure. He hasn't played since the first week of September, and he's just been working out and stuff. So we'll see what we get from him, but he's a special player, and I would expect that he just won't be up there striking out all the time. He's a very good player, and what we have to remember too is this is his free agent walk year. So I mean, there's a lot on the line here, and I'm expecting I don't think he'll hit like fourth like he used to. I could see him starting at sixth maybe, and we'll see. I mean, I'll be watching batting practice on Friday very closely to see just what he looks like, because you know he had a knee injury, and when you're hitting, you need your legs. So we'll see. Great to have a great player like him back. We'll see how much rust is on him after not playing for almost 7 weeks now, basically.
Yeah, and putting George out in the outfield, particularly after he got hit on the knee as well, that's a potential concern.
Well, you know something, he looked
although he jumped pretty well, didn't he?
his legs looked very good after that home run the other night.
They did. Yeah.
He took a couple swings in the game after he got drilled on the knee, and he took a couple swings and went down to one knee, and you know you just kind of hold your breath then and think, uh-oh, this doesn't look good. But George Springer has played in the playoffs for many, many, many years. His 23 postseason home runs is now tied for third all time. When you really think about that, that's very impressive. He's a big game player, and as we saw the other night, and what we're expecting now is he'll do big game things when it needs to happen.
Yeah. If there was one area of weakness for the Jays, would it be the bullpen in terms of how that's performed going into the series?
Right now, yeah, the the bridge between the starter and the closer now, it's been very uneven for about 3 or 4 games, which is too bad because Little was a big part of this whole season to get us to where we are. But it seems over the last, well, the playoffs and September, he seemed to lose the strike zone at really inopportune times. So if they could get him right again, that would help because you're going to need lefties to come in to face Otani and Freeman. You know, these are superstars of the game, and they hit right-handers very well, especially Otani. You know, he's as they call him over here, the unicorn, because we've just never seen this, you know. And so it'll be interesting to see how the left-handers in the pen, whether it be Little, Fluharty's been very good this year. You know, we saw him in spring training and thought to ourselves, this guy's interesting. Well, when he got here, he was unbelievable. You know, that
Yeah.
sweeper that he throws and it just cuts across the plate on guys. So he's going to be a big part. I would expect, and I would expect Brad Lauer's going to be. You know, we'll see what happens with him too, but they have to find a way to get the ball from the starters to the end of the pen, whether it's Sir Anthony or Hoffman. Uh, that'll be a key here because if they can't get it to them and games get out of hand, then
Mm.
won't be much fun to watch that happen because you know, Los Angeles can come at you from many angles, whether it's power or just you know, fundamentals. So Jays are going to have to be very good uh, innings 1 through 9, and getting all 27 outs to win will be it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Starting rotation, similar feel to what we've seen in the championship series.
I would think so.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, uh, you know, the one guy that we have not spoken about is Trey Savage.
indeed.
Starts the season in, like, you know, the low minors. If it was English football, he started out the year in pre uh, Ryan Reynolds Wrexham, like right right at the bottom, you
Yeah,
know, and he jumped 4 levels and now he's pitching in the World Series. That's the best story out of all of this. That this guy, you know, first round pick last year, didn't pitch in professional ball until the start of this season, and now he's in the World Series. And I'll tell you what, if he continues to pitch like he has through the World Series, he'll never have to buy a meal or a drink in Toronto ever again.
yeah. It has been extraordinary because he's similar age to my son, and it's just
Yeah.
just watching him come through, and particularly in the Yankee series where he just was so strong. Yeah, brilliant to see. Very exciting player to watch. Just turning our thoughts across to the Dodgers, then we've obviously talked about Shohei and what he brings. Anybody else in the Dodgers lineup that we need to be particularly? I mean, it's just full of big stars, obviously. Anybody that you think particularly the Jays need to be aware of?
I mean, we all know about Freddie Freeman, great player. You know, hit the Grand Slam in the World Series last year, legendary. Mookie Betts has been kind of quiet. I would keep an eye on him. You
Hmm.
know, the one thing about that team, though, is much like the Jays, they have some minor players who are big contributors. Kike Hernandez is a playoff veteran now after all these years. Tommy Edmonds is a very good player too, switch hitter who seems to show up in really big spots. And so, yeah, they have many weapons, much like we do, but they have a lot of World Series experience, and you can't buy that stuff. I mean, people react to, they're going to be on the biggest stage possible with the brightest lights, and how people respond to that will be interesting, certainly for our team. But I would expect that, Jays are going to play them tough. Do I think they can win? My head says no, my heart says yes, obviously. But as someone who pours through the numbers as my job, I mean, I have to be clear-headed about this. So I just want them to play them really tough. I don't want to see any blowouts, because then the U.S. media, especially in New York, are waiting on that. And, they're like licking their lips so that they can say something off color, as they're known to do. I mean, it seems that they take their cue from their president. Not going to talk about that, obviously.
Let's not get there.
No, there's no reason to go there. But as long as we play them tough, and all of the games are good, then this is going to be loads of fun, win or lose. Just to be back in the World Series again is an unbelievable accomplishment. A lot of people tend to forget last year the Blue Jays won 74 games. They were not a very good team. And now we look and we tally up the numbers, and the win the other night was their 101st of the whole season, regular season and postseason. So there's lots to be very proud of this team, and I've been so glad to be along for this whole ride. It's been an absolute trip for me.
Yeah. Well, I think we'd all say, Scott, it's a privilege and a joy for you to experience what you're experiencing after all these years of doing what you do, and to have the opportunity, of course we want to see the Jays be victorious and to get the rings and all of that stuff, but to have the privilege of being in Toronto on Friday and Saturday, and to experience what you're going to experience. I'm so thrilled for you, really excited for you. I would love to be next to you and enjoy it with you, but we will be supporting you, supporting obviously the team from this side of the Atlantic, and just super excited to be going to a World Series. What an amazing feat for them. So Scott, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate that you are in the midst of a lot of hard work ready to happen for opening day. We wish you well, and enjoy it, my friend. We'll be watching you and listening on from this side. And let's go Blue Jays, eh?
Thanks very much, Steve. Always great to talk with you, whether it's on social media or live like this. Anytime that you'd like to talk to me, you know where to find me.
I do indeed. Maybe we'll do a post World Series catch up and reflect a little bit on what's happened, and hopefully we'll be talking some good news. But whatever happens, we'll be there supporting the guys as they bid for the rings. So thanks ever so much. Wish you well, and we'll speak soon.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Steve.
The Red, White, and Blue Jays podcast is a production of Blue Jays Fans UK. If you've got a Blue Jays story to share, let us know. Email us at bluejaysfansuk@gmail.com. And follow along on Twitter and Instagram at Blue Jays Fans UK. I'm your announcer, Jim Langton. Thanks for listening.